6 years later, an international flight from Europe landed in Banyan City. Bethan dragged her luggage behind her and passed security clearance. 6 years ago, she was Bethan Peterson. After she survived the ordeal of an accident, she chose to go simply by Bethan. The chestnut-colored hair fanned across her shoulders carelessly. She donned a bright red shirt and black trench coat over it, making her look cold and mysterious. 2 children, a boy and a girl, followed behind her as they wore the same coat and dragged the same suitcase. Judging purely from appearances, they looked to be no more than 5 or 6 years old, but the aura they emitted was so noble and glamorous yet cold that no one dared approach them. Bethan and Zimmer, who had been waiting at the entrance, hurriedly waved to her in greeting. "Over here." And Zimmer was a famous plastic surgeon in Banyan City. 5 years ago, when she studied in Europe, she had the chance to participate in Bethan's surgery. Gradually, they grew closer and became best friends. As Bethan was back in Banyan City, she was happy to host her. She rushed up to her and grabbed the luggage in Bethan's hands excitedly. "The house is all ready. We'll head over there right now." "Thank you." Bethan smiled slightly and turned to introduce the children behind her. "Neil, Nellie, this is your Aunt Anne."
Y a un tía.
The little princess Nellie blew a kiss to and sweetly. "Please take care of us from now on." Instead, Neil merely looked at her out of the corners of his eyes. "Aunt Anne, you don't have a boyfriend, right?" Anne paused. "How do you know?" The young boy pursed his lips, stepped forward, and tugged the luggage out of her hands. He thus dragged 2 suitcases, one large and another much smaller, behind him and walked ahead. Women who engage in too much hard labor will have a hard time getting married. Anne was stunned silent. That little rascal. Bethan had no choice but to ease the situation. "He's just bad with words, but he's a kind boy deep down. He's just worried you'll be exhausted." And pursed her lips. "That sounds better." With that, she hooked her arm in Bethan's and asked, "Why did you decide to come back all of a sudden? And you only brought Neil and Nellie. Where's Nigel?" At the mention of her eldest son, Bethan's heart ached. She smiled bitterly. "Someone is taking care of him back there. We might stay a little longer this time." She had to take care of some issues. 6 years ago, Bretley and Cynthia colluded to try and kill her, even though she was 3 months pregnant. After news of her death was announced to the public, Cynthia even shamelessly produced her so-called will as proof she committed suicide.